Man, oh man, was yesterday a rough day for all NBA fans around the league. Except for Raptors fans who were cheering when KD got injured.
And Durant grabbing that right leg, the right calf, that put him out.
Now, I know this was not all Raptors fans, so don't be blaming their entire fan base, but a good amount of them were excited about KD's injury, which is completely disrespectful and classless. I get that it's the finals and emotions are running extremely high, but come on now, this is a serious injury that will affect KD's career, legacy, life, and most importantly, this upcoming NBA free agency. I'm kidding. Too soon? Okay, my bad. Honestly though, I'm sick to my stomach right now thinking about this KD situation, because he would be criticized for being soft if he didn't go out and play in Game 5. But if he did play without ever scrimmaging or even practicing with anyone other than the third stringers and absolutely bombing his workouts, we all know it's a major risk, which ultimately did not benefit him in the end. He was in a lose-lose situation here, and he not only lost but got much worse than the worst case scenario, at least told to him. In an interview before Game 5, Steve Kerr said that the worst case scenario for KD if he plays is he tweaks his calf and he would be out for the rest of the series.
Steve Kerr and Scott, I mean, he just kept saying to me, he's like, the doctors told us that he couldn't get more hurt by coming back, that he had cleared that hurdle. And he just kind of kept saying that over and over again.
That's it, he just re-injures his calf. That's the worst possible thing that can happen. Now that was clearly wrong, as now we see that he has an Achilles injury, which the Warriors believe that it is actually a right Achilles tear. After examination of this play, this is probably why they believe this. And this injury was caused probably because the right calf contracted so violently it tore the Achilles. I really do hope the best for Kevin in his recovery, and you guys watching should too, because you never want to see a player go down like that. Kevin will almost 100% be out for next season after this sad news, but let me break down why KD's devastating injury will change NBA free agency in this upcoming Anthony Davis trade. After KD's injury, everything changes because the Knicks are no longer going to be competing for a championship next year now that KD is injured. The Knicks still need to make the run after KD, and I do believe KD wants to come to New York, but the whole reasoning for KD was to save the city and become the king of New York. This will still be the case, but it won't be as fairy tale as KD would like. I don't know if KD wants to be on the sidelines of the Knicks taking up $38 million in cap space when he is not even playing, because from a basketball standpoint, it doesn't make sense. The Knicks could easily use that space to take on bad contracts from other teams who want cap space to ultimately create enough money for a max lot this summer. KD will have the chance to get familiar with the organization, but in his mind, is it worth doing that when you have the chance to get your future team more assets and better players? I don't know. The Nets gave up 2 first-round picks to free $18 million in cap space, so just imagine what $38 million extra dollars could get the Knicks. KD has a $31.5 million player option with the Warriors, so right now he may be leaning towards that if he wants to help the Knicks get future assets and if he wants to stay with the same medical team for treatment. I don't know if the relationship between KD and the medical team is now ruined after they thought it'd be okay for him to go out and play, and not only play, but play 12 of the first 14 minutes of the game. From what it looks like though, KD will most likely be staying with the Warriors. However, the Knicks will throw the max at KD this year 100%, so it really depends on if KD believes that he will get the max from the Knicks next year or not, which I would say is a 100% yes, unless he pulls a John Wall. To start, the Knicks will probably not be in playoff contention for Anthony Davis through trade, because KD will be hurt next season. Anthony Davis has narrowed down the teams he will re-sign with to the Knicks and Lakers, but after hearing this news, Anthony Davis would be wasting a year in his prime if he signed with the Knicks. Adding AD to the roster that was the worst in the NBA last year and subtracting RJ, Kevin Knox, and Dennis Smith Jr. will only make Anthony Davis frustrated about losing even more than he was in New Orleans. The Knicks can even get him help because they need a max contract slot to sign KD next summer, or he will take up $38 million in cap space if he signs with the Knicks this year. Also, the Knicks front office has come out on multiple occasions and said that they are not trading their future away for a star player. If KD was healthy, it's a different story, But now that KD's hurt, Scott Perry will now know for sure that this trade is not worth the risk. The Knicks feel this trade could be a similar situation to the Carmelo Anthony trade. They don't want to make the same mistake. Either way, whatever KD does, an Anthony Davis trade will not happen with the Knicks unless they somehow fleece the Pelicans. This also gives the Pelicans less leverage now that a significant suitor dropped out of the bidding, and honestly, the only team who has enough assets to make a trade now is the Lakers. To continue, Kyrie Irving planned on teaming up with Kevin Durant this offseason, which now seems less likely now that KD's hurt. Kyrie changes his mind literally every single hour, so right now, it seems that if KD stays with the Warriors, Kyrie will be left alone and go to Brooklyn where he will try and persuade another star like Jimmy Butler, or have the Nets match an offer for D'Angelo Russell to pair with him. Kyrie could sign a deal with the Knicks and wait for KD, but I doubt Kyrie will come to New York alone. If KD signs with the Knicks though and is hurt next season, Kyrie will be left alone for the first season, which will make New York much less appealing to him than Brooklyn will be. Kyrie to the Knicks has become much less of a possibility with KD's injury, and I think that is actually the same for many other star free agents. I believe that Kemba Walker, who actually recently got followed by Kevin Durant on Instagram, will not be as eager to come to New York now that KD is hurt for this upcoming season. As well as Kemba, Kawhi may not think as highly of the Knicks anymore, now that KD will not be playing there, and he may not even give the Knicks a chance to hold a meeting with him now that this is the case. In the first place, if KD wasn't injured, the Knicks would have to show that Kawhi and KD could be the best duo in NBA history, but now the Knicks have to get real creative with their pitch to him. Chris Carter, who is very close to Kawhi Leonard, said this about Kawhi's upcoming free agency.
I would go 50% Clippers, 40% Raptors, 10% Knicks as we sit.
Let me
here
tell you what
today.
those other teams don't provide. Kevin Durant. He won't be with the Clippers. He won't be with Toronto. What if Kawhi and KD decide to pair up? I think KD would go for that.
So now that the Knicks won't have KD on the court next year, will Kawhi really want to sacrifice a season without KD, or would it be smarter to sign a one-year deal with Toronto and then evaluate the market again? Furthermore, if KD does not sign with the Knicks, DeAndre Jordan will most likely not want to stay with the Knicks and join another potential championship contender. Finally, KD will be taking up a lot of cap space on the Warriors, which will most likely result in the departure of DeMarcus Cousins unless he is willing to take the mid-level exception again. Cousins averaged 16 points and 8 rebounds with the Warriors, and that seems awfully too good for the mid-level exception, so he will most definitely get a better contract elsewhere. All in all, the NBA will be wide open next year, and sadly the Knicks will not be competing for a championship. However, they will be able to develop their young core of RJ, hopefully, all prayers towards the draft gods in Scott Perry and Steve Mills, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, Dennis Smith Jr., Alonzo Trier, and Damian Dotson. The Brooklyn Nets will lose out because they opened a max lot for KD, but now that KD is hurt, the Warriors and Knicks are both ahead of them significantly on the KD sweepstakes, and before it was only the Knicks who were significantly ahead of them. And I guess the Nets believe that they could persuade KD to come to them over the Knicks? LOL! JK, the Nets are going in a great direction, but honestly, KD's not going there now. Finally, the Warriors may be stuck with KD's $31.5 million contract, which will hold them back on getting solid reserves to help out Clay and Steph. This may even make the Warriors unable to sign DeMarcus Cousins, as I mentioned earlier, so they are hoping KD does not opt into his player option. Wow, I would never imagine that one player could literally change the NBA so much by getting injured and make it so wide open. So much has changed, and the NBA is about to get turned upside down, so be prepared for that. At the end of this video, I want to say that KD is a true warrior for being able to fight through this horrible injury to play in Game 5, and prayers up to KD right now. And with that said, tell me if you guys think that there are any other ways that the NBA is going to be changed with KD's injury that I did not cover in this video. I'm curious what you guys have to say. Dime out, and peace! Why can't the Knicks ever get nice things, I swear.